Hello everybody and welcome back to Victoria, where we are currently very negative in our finances, but honestly it's completely fine. Look at our balance when we are not taking construction into account. Yeah, we're fine. I'm not concerned about that. We've got gold reserves for a while yet, and we do need to get these constructions underway. Now the railways are going to happen eventually, but they are a low priority. We'll see when that happens. But for the moment, we're running input goods shortages and we have expensive goods. All of that needs to be tackled. In fact, we should deal with tools, and we should deal with wood, and paper even. Okay, so let's get a logging camp built. Where is it highest right now? Pennsylvania? Okay, we'll build it in Pennsylvania for economy of scale. So we'll build that. We also know that we need paper and tools, right? So in our industry, we'll get a tooling workshop. There's already 5 in New York. Okay, so we'll bump that up to 6. And for paper mills, there is 3 in New Jersey, it looks like. Cool. So we'll get that constructed. And these are probably going to be, in terms of priority, below what we've already worked on here, but above all of the railways. So something along the lines of this. There we go. So that's underway. It'll take time, but we know this. Small arms and artillery are expensive. I'm not too concerned about that right now. So our election is over with the Progressive Party winning 50% of the vote. That is, of course, Andrew Jackson's party. Okay, cool. So what are we at for legitimacy? Okay, that needs some work. So we're definitely going to bring the Progressive Party in here, but if we also bring in the Whig Party, we're at 68 as opposed to 66. This seems acceptable. So that's still a contested government. I mean, this is Andrew Jackson we're talking about. We don't expect anything but contested governments. An era of liberal politics that promises a freer society. Yeah, that sounds like Andrew Jackson. Cool. So, changing ideology to radical or reformer. Freedom of trade and freedom of thought. Plus 50 popularity. For now, I think that's okay. I think we do that. Cool. So we do have, of course, all of this colonization happening. And eventually we're going to need to go to war with Mexico. The question is, when do we want to do that? Education investment has increased. That's good. And so is law enforcement. I want to double check our institutions at this moment. Okay, everything is maxed. Perfect. A devout scandal, huh? The evangelicals had a secret affair with a member of the clergy. Cool. Okay, so that's reasonably fine. The question now becomes, when does the steel mill finish up? Also, what are we actually... Okay, gold has been discovered in South Dakota. That's actually really important. We're going to... Okay, that's goldfields only? We only have this small area of South Dakota. Got it. We'll get there. We'll definitely get there. Okay, so, as I was saying... What are we spending our construction goods on? Iron, wood, tools, fabric. Okay, we're addressing some of that right now. I'm going to move up this iron mine. And I'm going to move up the tooling workshop up above the lead mine. And we're going to move up the logging camp as well. That's going to go about here. We do want to cut our construction costs. No doubt about that. A slave belonging to John Calhoun has escaped his estate and fled to a northern free state. Calhoun has demanded his return, but abolitionists are calling for his demands to be ignored. There are few things I care about more than justice. If a man loses his jacket, it's only natural that it would be returned to him, right? I simply ask that what's mine be returned to me. Why is this causing such an uproar? Oh, John C. Calhoun. This guy. This guy. So, are we going to return his fugitive slave? Honestly, the Southern Planters are not part of our party, right? Yeah, they're not part of our coalition. They're the Democratic Party in opposition to us with 17.3% clout. The trade unions, intelligentsia, and industrialists. The intelligentsia are part of our party. The others are not. The trade unions don't actually exist, so there's that. Let's just go ahead and not return the slave here because of the way that our government is structured. There we go. Cool. So that'll be just fine. I'm sure John C. Calhoun won't have any problems with this at all. And he, this will not lead to further problems down the road. So all of our colonizations over here are about to finish up. There we go. So that's a chunk of territory for us. I like it. Cool. We're also about to see our steel mills finish up here, and we're losing our power rank. For the moment, that's mostly because our GDP is declining. Fair enough. I don't really care about our power rank at this point, to be honest. We can cut our military wages here, and I think that's reasonable. We could cut our government wages as well if we really wanted to. And I think that would be beneficial for us to do so. So we cut those wages, and we finished up that steel mill. That's nice. But we're now working on our logging camps and iron mines. That will cut our construction costs somewhat, because iron and tools are currently expensive. We don't have an input goods shortage of actually wood right now. It's just expensive. Okay, noted. For the moment, this is fine. These input goods shortages are what's causing our GDP to drop. And we'll deal with that. We should work on a single railway in New York soon, I think. Perhaps around here. Ah, the Trail of Tears. Yes, many people did indeed die. Measles, cholera, starvation. This removal has created a trail of tears and death for our people. But we did subsidize it, so that's something. It's not, you know, ethical, but it's not how nations work. So that's all fine. Our radicals are creeping up. We fully expect that. And our loyalists are what they are for the time being. We need to get this situation under control, right? Note how we are deliberately not developing our agriculture in the South right now. There's a Civil War-shaped reason for that. Fantastic. So we're going to finish up our... The lead mine, I think, is less important than the paper mill and the railway. We'll work on the railway here. But I want that iron mine and tooling workshop complete. We can support more declared interests. And a declared interest in the Pacific Coast. Absolutely. This is what we have a declared interest in. Good. Or rather, what we have an interest in. Not necessarily a declared one. We're going to finish up our colonizations again soon. Those will keep ticking away for quite a while. And we're running this big old deficit, right? But that's fine. We need to deal with these input goods shortages. Absolutely. We're still running an input goods shortage of steel, coal, lots of input goods shortages, and that needs to be tackled. Lead is still in this list, yes. Which honestly means that paper is less important. So something more like this. Coal, iron, lead, steel, tools. That is what we really need to be working on. Okay. And that is indeed what we are working on. Our GDP is continuing to decline for the moment, but we're definitely in progress here. So we're going to need to expand our coal mine, that's for sure. Let's see. Iron is as well going to need to be further expanded. None of this is surprising. We're going to put in a coal mine, and for the economy of scale, that goes in Pennsylvania. Iron mine, again for economy of scale, that goes in New York. So that's coal and iron. Lead we're currently working on. We still need steel, so we're going to build a steel mill again, I believe in Pennsylvania. Yes, that makes sense. And tools we're working on right now. So we'll allow this tooling workshop to finish up. And let's think here. Something along the lines of this. Okay. So we'll let that all finish up, right? We need to work our way through these input goods shortages. We can also work on some imports. So I'm going to do a single import for each of these input goods shortages, and we're likely going to get rid of these later. Let's see. Lead, we can import from the British market. Steel, we can import from the British and French markets. And then tools, we can import from the British market and the Spanish market. Okay. So there's a bunch of import routes. That will help alleviate some of the input goods shortages. It will not solve the problem. Are we importing coal right now? Well, we can import more from the British. There we go. So that will help alleviate some of this input goods shortage temporarily. And yes, that does indeed appear to be the case. Cool. So we're going to need to build a lot more of this, right? No doubt about that. I'm going to move our railway up to the top priority for right now. We do need to continue to work on these input goods shortages. But that's fine. Once we get that turned around, our GDP will start to recover, and that's exactly what we're looking for. And in fact, it is starting to come up now just with those imports. So that's looking very good. Do we ban slavery? Honestly, what percentage of our population is slaves? Let's see here. Profession. Slaves. 12.7%. And of the workforce, 50%. So that's going to really help our average standard of living if slaves are included in that standard of living. For the moment, I feel like it's okay. I want to import dyes. We can only import dyes. We cannot do anything else there. We cannot produce our own at this moment. Cool. So we're going to finish up this lead mine. We're no longer running input goods shortages on a lot of things. So this iron mine needs to be moved up to the top. And the steel mill we're going to put here. Excellent. Transportation, iron, is all we're running for input goods shortages. Now, there's also artillery, small arms. Steel is fluctuating here, which is why we moved that up. But overall, that looks good. Cool. So this railway in New York will help. We do have some unproductive trade routes, and we will get rid of all of those. We knew that that would be happening as we get some of this completed. So the railway is going to be done in a couple of weeks. Gold has been discovered in Mexico. Sure. That railway will be finishing up now, helping with that transportation input goods shortage. That will help a lot, to be clear. So how many more buildings will be affected by that? I mean, we're still going to need a lot of transportation, right? We knew that would happen. Ah, John Ross's protest petition. Chief John Ross, one of the principal Cherokee chiefs, has presented a petition to Congress asking them to void the treaty which will compel the Cherokee Nation to relocate to the Indian Territory. His petition has almost as many signatures as the entire Eastern Cherokee population. By the stipulations of this treaty, we are stripped of every attribute of freedom. Our property may be plundered before our eyes, violence may be committed on our persons, even our lives may be taken away, and there is none to regard our complaints. We are denationalized. We are disenfranchised. We are deprived of membership in the human family. So, again, the Southern planters aren't part of our government here. We don't actually care about them. So, we'll void the removal treaty. We don't care about the Southern planters here. Which is really weird, because Andrew Jackson, like, this is very strange. Very strange indeed, but they're not part of the government, so we're completely okay with that. We're seeing our GDP starting to grow again. That's a very good sign. And what are we looking at for shortages right now? Engines. Do we have the ability to create motor industries? We actually do. We don't have any anywhere right now. So let's sort by peasants. We'll put them in Ohio. In reality, it would make probably more sense to put them in Michigan because, you know, that's where they are, like, in reality. But there's barely any peasants there right now. We're going to go for Ohio. That's close enough. The question is this a super high priority? The answer is probably yes, actually. So the iron mine here is going to finish up. We're running that iron input goods shortage. We are running an engines input goods shortage, and then there's that transportation input goods shortage. So that ends up meaning this is our priority. Okay. Now, note that we are currently negative and in debt. That's understood. Completely understood. We're still running an iron input goods shortage. I wouldn't mind importing more from the British market. That should solve the iron issue, or alleviate it in some way. There are a couple of unproductive trade routes, the coal trade routes, which we'll get rid of. The caning of Cornelius Vanderbilt, huh? Cornelius Vanderbilt, an outspoken abolitionist, has been beaten with a cane by Elie Augustus Frederick Lavalette, a slave owner. Vanderbilt's injuries compel him to convalesce and retire from public office, while Lafayette still currently walks free. Such barbarism. I sadly do not see how two such disparate communities can still constitute one state. He's going to be removed from office and arrested. He assaulted a citizen. Cool. This is very not Andrew Jackson. Okay. Where's the challenging members of Congress to a duel? That's my question. Cool. So we are currently progressing here with our motor industries, our railway. We're still running a shortage of iron, which does slightly surprise me. I almost said Navajo there. Mexico just rivaled us, and we'll rival them right on back. Cool. We aren't going to have a problem taking them over. I think that's very clear. So for the moment, we're not pursuing a banning of slavery, and that's mostly because we need to get our economy on a stronger footing before we do so. We'll get there. We'll get there. Can we integrate Oklahoma eventually? Like the Indian Territory? Indeed we can. However, and that's a diplomatic plan. That's interesting. Good to know. That is definitely very, very good to know. Our motor industry will be done in 9 weeks here. I do want to hop into our buildings here and make sure that the motor industry is set to auto-expand. Auto-expand. Oh boy, that's a terrible pun. I'm so sorry. It was not intentional. Oh, that's horrible. Absolutely horrific. I'm also going to drop our military down. We need to save money. So how much is that actually going to save? Some, but not a lot. Not shocking. We're mostly a conscript force, right? So that's okay. Our lead mine is going to finish up in 4 weeks at this point, at the same time as the motor industry in Ohio. It's actually looking quite good. Excellent. And our GDP is really starting to recover. Now, we took that big dip because of input goods shortages. We knew that that was going to happen. We are running a wood and tools input goods shortage. So we are going to get that tooling workshop done soon, but we should certainly get additional wood production. And based on economy of scale, Pennsylvania's the place. So we'll get that going. That is going to go behind the tooling workshop in terms of priority. All of this stuff has significant progress on it. It's down to 281 weeks. We're actually producing a lot more construction all of a sudden, and that's great. That was because of input goods shortages of iron, I believe. So that's looking good. Now, this trade route is inactive, and this one is unproductive. We'll get rid of both of those. We've got transportation, wood, engines, and tools. Okay, so our railway in Ohio is going to finish up. The steel mill is actually not a hugely high priority. We can bump that down to be here. I don't want that coal mine up quite as far. Okay. tools and transportation now. So we should definitely move up our railway in Massachusetts. We require additional transportation production, but this is looking far, far better. Railroad boom. The growth of branch lines along the main rail routes has been immensely valuable to the growth of our burgeoning rail industry. A child has been arrested for picking up coal alongside newly laid tracks. If the youth had been smart enough to steal the whole railroad, he would have been hailed as the Napoleon of industry. Okay, so railway building throughput in New York, motor industries building throughput in Ohio, or 3K progress on steel railway cars. And that's what we're going to take. Excellent. So our steel mill is going to be done in 1 week. It looks like we don't need additional steel at this point. Wood, iron, tools, paper are all still expensive. They are not input goods shortages. So, wood and iron. Gotcha. So we're going to get another iron mine in New York. And we're going to get another logging camp. Well, actually, we're building one right now. This iron mine is going to move down to here. Excellent. So this is looking very, very good, right? We're fine running a deficit at this moment. I'm completely okay with going into debt at this stage of the game. Later, we're not going to want to. And technically, we don't want to right now, but it's okay. Our GDP is recovering nicely. We are almost back up to our peak. So that's fantastic. We're also getting more construction throughput, and there's labor movement unlocked. So that allows us to pass regulatory bodies. Dedicated police force wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing to go for. It has a lot of support for that. So let's go ahead and get a dedicated police force in. And of course, we need to go for something here. We have some progress towards steel railway cars. I'm not too concerned about that right now. We could go for, like, nitroglycerin. Let's do it. Beautiful. Okay, so that paper mill is finally being worked on. And I want to check in here. Only transportation is an input goods shortage right now. With that in mind, I'm going to move this railway up. We're going to work on 2 railways at a time, and then we're going to work on our coal mines and iron mines simultaneously. Excellent. This trade route is now unproductive. We get rid of it. The gold was depleted in South Dakota already. Oh my. Well. Unfortunate. That was very, very quick. That did not last long, but we didn't really expect it to. I mean, that's pretty much how South Dakota worked. So it's okay. There's still other gold fields that we don't have out here, right? Gold mines are available in South Dakota. And in fact, we can build a gold mine in South Dakota. That is absolutely a priority. So we get that built. The rest of this will finish up reasonably quickly, and we're mostly just keeping an eye on our expensive goods, right? I wouldn't mind an additional tooling workshop, and that'll go in New York, of course. But this is not going to be prioritized like this. This is going to be down here. We're also, I believe, going to require an additional logging camp. And that goes in Pennsylvania. There we go. As far as positioning that will go down by the tooling workshop as well. Cool. So down here. The gold mine is going to finish up soon, in 12 weeks, and the railway in Massachusetts in 4 weeks. And we'll see what these 2 railways do to our transportation. But we definitely need more transportation. We're currently feeling an input goods shortage on that, and that is hurting our GDP still and holding us back. So that's fine. Railway in Massachusetts is going to be done shortly. Right about now. And we're going to move up the railway in North Dakota. I want to be working on 2 railways simultaneously, and then everything else can be worked on as is. So checking in on this, 104, 110. Yeah, we still need a lot of transportation. We're not shocked by this. Not shocked at all. That iron mine finishes up right about, well, right around now. Language in the classroom, huh? Better assimilation is probably what we want here. The Sioux are going to become more radical, but, you know, gotta have Custer's last stand somehow. Oh boy, this is gonna go absolutely horribly. I'm assuming that's in this game. It better be. Our gold mine is about to finish up, and that is going to help our finances somewhat. The minting will be great, as well as just the raw production there. So that's looking good. We're definitely in recovery here. Our GDP is coming up nicely, and this is exactly what we expected to have happen. So this is looking very, very good. It is at this point about time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we are going to continue to work our way through this. We just got dedicated police force, so let's just jump our way up to level 5 law enforcement, just to make these radicals, you know, have less of an effect. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Ken2Win, James, Shadowwolf, MLohan80, Kentogan, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Spartan News, Unisil, Rogue Corvid, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.